Davey VTV, Davey V with you. This is probably the first video, at least in a long, long time that I can remember, that I didn't necessarily want to make, if that makes any sense at all. And I'll explain a little bit here. Since the murder of Robert Brooks, the gentleman you see here in the center of your screen being choked out by several, being beaten and choked out by New York State Department of Correction officers at Marcy Correctional Facility in upstate New York. If you're familiar with the case, Mr. Brooks was beaten to death on December 9th, and the body cam footage, which, by the way, the COs were not recording, it was standby mode. And because they were not recording, there's no sound to the video. I'm not sure if you've seen the video, but if it's your first time watching, again, Robert Brooks was killed, murdered in a medical room. Think about that. In Marcy Correctional Facility's medical room. And yeah, if you can probably tell, I'm even having trouble just finding the words. The reason I wanted to make this video, even though I didn't want to make it, if that even makes sense, is because I'm feeling a wide range of emotions. And as much as I didn't necessarily even want to kind of revisit or talk about this again, because I already put out a video about it, I literally just had a conversation with my son's, with my son, one of my sons, my older son, who actually knows Mr. Brooks' son. Mr. Brooks was from the Rochester, New York area, and in Greece, New York, which is a suburb of Rochester, New York. And come to find out that my son was basically schoolmates with Mr. Brooks' son. And so it kind of hits home on a level where obviously, now I find out my son knows his son. But where it's really made me feel uncomfortable, other than the obvious reason why, a black man is handcuffed and killed by several white cops, right? Because that's what they are. They're cops in the correctional system of New York State. Other than that, which is the obvious reason why it would make any one disgusted, right, to see this, to know that this man was killed by individuals who have sworn an oath to protect inmates who are doing their times. I don't give a fuck what Mr. Brooks did. I don't. He was serving his time. And on top of that, he's handcuffed and was killed by cowards, absolute cowards. But for me, at least as a father, the reason why this has really been tough is because even though my children are older now, it reminds me of the George Floyd incident, right? It reminds me of the Daniel Prude incident, who was killed by murdered by several Rochester, New York police officers. And it's just like, here we go again. And how do you explain to that? Especially if your kids are younger. How do you explain to that? How you explain that to them? I'm sorry. And another thing, which I'm going to touch on real quick. And again, it's kind of like I didn't want to make this video, but I did know that I had to make it just to get this off my chest. It has really set me back in my overall trust and the way I look at law enforcement. This is not to say that there's not good law enforcement officers, but I'm just very careful what I attribute that name when I pin that name nowadays, good cops. Because again, these are cops and these are members of the law enforcement community. And I guarantee you this is not the first time this happened. That I can guarantee you. They seem too comfortable. They seem too relaxed in doing what they did to Mr. Brooks, which is murder him in this medical room at Marcy Correctional Facility. They've done this before. And if they haven't killed anyone before, and this is the first time, they have absolutely, without a doubt, abused, handcuffed inmates. They have ganged up on inmates. It's happened before. I am beyond disgusted. And again, I literally can't find the words to like even express what I'm feeling. And I think that's probably the same for a lot of you watching this video or that watched the actual body cam footage. Lastly, I'll close for now with this. I have no trust, zero trust in New York State Attorney General Letitia James, who is known to refuse to indict or refuse to charge cops who have murdered people. I don't trust her at all. So we will see what happens. Another thing real quick is that I've noticed that this case is not really getting national attention the way it should be. And I wonder why. I wonder what politics are at play here. I'll make another video soon. There's just a lot to talk about and a lot to process. As always, thank you for watching Davey V TV.